TFA fam, welcome in. It is Prop Talk. We are back. I just want to apologize ahead of time. We're going to try and get through this unscathed and without any sort of incidents, but Tom Corson is not eating carbs right now, and he is all hopped up on some adult sodas.
Adult sodas and some I don't know some betting victories. We bet a lot on the Phillies tonight, which was probably not smart by the pundits. And then we bet Bryce Harper to get a home run and Kyle Schwarber to get over 1.5 bases and Trey Turner to get over 1.5 runs and hits combined. And we are fucking winning today. And we've won on college today, and we're 5 for 5 on the day. And holy shit, I'm ready to fucking go, man. So yeah, no carbs, adult beverages, victory, winning. Oh, I'm ready to fucking roll.
And just so we're clear, when Tom says we, he's literally just talking about himself.
Yes.
I don't know who is we. He's talking about himself. So
no. You are too. However, if you watched any baseball tonight,
no,
I do have a question. Like, who has been the most clutch performer, like in your team's like history? Because Bryce Harper for the Phillies is getting up there. He hit another homer today, put him up 2-0. And if you watch like last offseason, he's just stupid. So I mean, I got to put it to you. Bryce he's getting up there in like Philadelphia sports history already. So who you got?
I don't think there's like any obvious ones like off the top of my head, like at least in like sports my sports history. I'd probably have to say Big Ben in his prime. Like you could always count on him, fourth quarter if they need a drive or a play, especially when it was Ben and AB. Yeah, you could always they always seem to pull it out. Obviously there was not a lot of playoff success with that group, but during the regular season, Ben I'd have to put up there. Sidney Crosby comes through in the clutch as well.
He
But
did.
probably Ben in his prime. This is the one I would go with.
Mario before, he's a little before your time, I think, but he was also just unreal. But yeah, I'm just fucking ready, man. Fucking ready to
let's kick it off, man. Before Walito starts dropping 30 more props.
He's already got three. He's already got three in there. And I honestly can't say I dislike any of them. So
start good the first for you. One.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go Brandon Ayuk over 57.5 receiving yards. That's a -115 on DraftKings. It is Ayuk season. We've heard the hype of the preseason. It's real. After he's had 3 games where he's played, 1 game where he was out. His routes are still fucking stupid. He's had 2 games over 129 yards so far this year. Out of the 3 that he's played, I don't think Dallas shuts him down, especially with Diggs out for the year. They're going to have their hands full with CMC. That always opens their wide receivers out. Debo is still nasty. I think San Francisco wins that game. I think that game probably is going to go over 50 points. And I really like Brandon Ayuk there. Yeah, go.
Hey man, come simmer down. We got time. I'm going to start with my first one. That is going to be Kirk Cousins over 39.5 passing attempts. You can actually get this at plus money on DraftKings right now. I didn't look to see anywhere else what any of these numbers were, but DraftKings Cousins over 39.5 attempts. Like I said, that's a plus 100. He is averaging 39.25 pass attempts, and that's with him only having 19 last week against Carolina. This game is obviously going to be different in terms of the script. We have a 53-point total here, the highest of the week. The Vikings are 3.5-point home underdogs as well. We're obviously expecting Patty Mahomes to be able to shred the defense, which is obviously going to force Kirk Cousins to drop back more often. And the Vikings are also leading the league in passing play percentage. So, and he's hit this in 3 of his 4 this year already, when his lowest has been 44, like I said, outside of the Carolina game last week, which is just an ugly, just gross game all around. Now we got Kirk Cousins back at home, where he's obviously performs better, over 39.5 passing attempts at plus 100.
I like that you took the actual attempts as opposed to the yards because we don't know about the efficiency with him based on his yo-yo like season. So I like that one. My next bet is going to be Michael Wilson over 38.5 yards. That's a minus 110. He's hit this number in his last 3 games, and he is efficient. I also love the longest catch over 18.5. He's also hit that 3 games, or his last 3 games as well. He's got an 87.5 catch rate right now. He's averaging 16.9 yards a catch. He's explosive. He's getting the ball enough to hit that over against the Bengals team, who's given up 39 yards or more to 9 receivers through the first 4 games. So I love Michael Wilson long term. I love him this week, and I think he hits that over on both of those bets.
Oh, Mike Wilson action. First time he's been brought up this year. Gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna go to your team in a way. Tom, my God, I was forgot your name there.
It is. That is my name. So good job.
We're going to go with Kyron Williams under 58.5 rushing yards. Philly has not allowed any running back to surpass this total. I think the most rushing yards they've given up to a single player was Brian Robinson last week, and that was like 45 or something like that. So no running back has even sniffed this total. Williams himself has only gone over this in one of his 4 games. I think that his other highest were like 52 yards. So even Kyron Williams hasn't gotten close to this total. Philly has allowed the 3rd fewest rushing yards on the season. They rank 2nd in rush stop win rate, and they are 4-point road favorites in this one. I think Kyron will end up being fine for fantasy purposes. But like just in terms of like him being like a rusher, like and playing like running back and like just running the ball, he really hasn't been that good or that efficient this year. He's just thrived off of volume, which we love for fantasy football. But for whenever it comes to our prop bets here, I'm going to take the under. Obviously, Fletcher Cox being out isn't great, but they do have some depth along that defensive line. They've obviously invested in that heavily over the past couple of years. So I still like the under here at 58.5.
Yeah, the Eagles' front 4 has just been stupid. Fletcher's been getting a lot of playing time, but again, your replacement is Jalen Carter, so it's not exactly like it's a drop off. Especially when you look at like Pro Football Focus, they have him rated as the number 1 or number 2 overall interior defender on a lot of statistics when it comes to pressure rate, run stop rate, etc. So it's not going to be a lot of drop off there. They rotate their guys a lot, so they're always fresh. And I think the Eagles will probably get out to a little bit of a lead. I would be more worried if you took an under on either Cup or Nakua, just because the Eagles have given up the yards that they give up is through the passing game. So the fact that it's the running back there, the under, I can take that. Again, what you said about fantasy, I think Kyron's still fine. Fire him up. But as far as rushing yards, I'm not really enamored with that either. All right, drum roll, please. We have our first kicker bet of the year. All right, we're going to go early game. Tyler Bass over 6.5. Now that's at minus 130. It's a fucking kicker in London, Cody. You always take a kicker in. I'm sorry. What did I just say? Jesus Christ. It's a kicker in London, Cody. You always take a kicker in London. That's a rule I have in life, and it usually works out.
I have it tattooed on my lower back.
So do I. It's a tramp stamp. You have a tramp stamp?
Yeah, it says that, yeah.
All right. I mean, it's better than a bullseye, I guess. All right. So obviously we're gonna get kicks in tomorrow's game. We have Jacksonville, Buffalo, we get a lot of kicks there. That being said, Bass has at least 8 points in every single game this season, which is kind of crazy to think about, by the way, for kickers, because kickers are usually really inconsistent from top to bottom there. Jacksonville has been good against kickers, but they haven't played an offense that's gotten into the red zone nearly as much as the Buffalo offense has. So again, in London, we kick. I'm going to take Bass over 6.5, baby, and we're going there. Kicker bets.
There we go. Kicker bets. That's Foda Would certainly like that over in the Discord. And if you want to join the Discord, we're certainly going to be adding more props there. At the tonight, early tomorrow, throughout the day on Sunday. So our Discord is absolutely free to join. You can click on the description and you can click on the link in the description below. And we're always talking college bets. They'll throw in NHL, baseball, all that as well. So go ahead and jump in there. My last one for tonight is going to be David Montgomery over 83.5 rushing yards. Looks like Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra are going to be doubtful for this game. Carolina has allowed the third most rushing yards to running backs. They're allowing 4.7 yards per rush, which is tied for the fifth highest in the league. And they are ranked 25th in run stop win rate. I also like his rushing attempts at 18.5. I think that's another safe bet. In the two fully healthy games that Monty has played, he hasn't had less than 21 rushing attempts. I think both those get home, but I think the rush attempts, it's sitting at minus 135. So the price on the rushing yards is a little bit better at minus 115. I also think him, if you want to take him on an alternate rushing line, I think at 100 plus yards is also interesting as well. Just going up against this Carolina team, they're big favorites at home. I think this has, Monty with 26 plus rushing attempts written all over it. But like I said, I'll just take the rushing yards here since that line is a little bit better at minus 115 compared to minus 135 for the rushing attempts.
I love David Montgomery this week, so I love that.
I think he smashes. So I think first touchdown, anytime touchdown, all that is certain.
You can do all of that shit. What other one I like? I don't have anything really written up on it. DeAndre Hopkins over 4.5 receptions, almost a 30% target share. Treylon Burks is out. Kind of self-explanatory. It's not. So it's funny because it's the Titans and it's not sexy and it's ugly as shit. So it's just one of those things where it's kind of going, it's kind of going unseen that he's getting that much of a target share. I believe it's the sixth most in the league. So I like that one there.
Let's go through some of the questions and props we have in the chat, which is basically just what we know. So let's start here at the top. We have A-Chain over 50.5 rushing. I don't mind this one, but I like his rushing and receiving a little bit better. I think it's like 66.5. But like the rushing is fine as well. We know he can get that in 2 carries, basically.
Same. I like that a lot too, based on his efficiency, and they're just going to give him the ball more based on how good he's been. But, it does worry me with the addition of Chase Claypool and all.
What a turd. What an absolute
what a douche canoe. And the fact that you guys get the 32 overall pick for that. Yeah. Filtered. I just insulted him 8 times and filtered things out. Be proud. I'm not going to say any of them.
We all appreciate it, Tom. Thank you for showing some restraint and maturity there. Lamar over 45.5 rushing.
I think that one's fine as well. I
just never know what to do with these Baltimore Steeler divisional games. You know what I mean? Like, right. It wouldn't surprise me to see Baltimore just come in and smash. It also wouldn't surprise me to see Baltimore lose in this one either. Just one of these weird divisional AFC North type of games. But I think that one's fine.
Yeah, no, that's a game. That's a game though with Baltimore and Pittsburgh with Pickett being banged up and just the rivalry. I'm just staying away from most of the props in that game.
Yeah,
but yeah, and the lines. I'm just staying away from that game in general because I have no idea what the outcome is going to be because it's a weird matchup.
Yeah, JT over 46.5 rushing yards. I would take the under on this one.
You think you're going to see more Moss than JT?
I think that is certainly in the realm of possibility, but this is also just an awful matchup. Tennessee's run defense has been legit for the past year and a half. And we also have to remember JT has done dick all offseason. Like he didn't practice, he didn't play in any, he didn't play in any of the preseason games. So for him to come out, and try to get the volume to get to 46.5, I think is going to be a little tall of an ask. So I would take the under on this one. Like I said, especially going up against Tennessee's run defense, which is stout.
I'm kind of on the other side there, where I think they're gonna feed him a little bit because they just paid the man.
Okay. Well,
so that's interesting.
We'll see who is right tomorrow. Swift over 63.5 rushing.
Well, it depends on what offense shows up, to tell you the truth, because you have Jurgensen is out as their left guard, so he's going to be up against Aaron Donald most of the day. So if Donald is blowing up their rushing offense, then they're going to wind up passing more. But again, the Rams have been decent against wide receivers. I think AJ and Devonta are much better than any receiver that they played. So that's hit or miss for me. Personally, I'm staying away from – I don't have anything in the Eagles game that I really like because I think it's too hard to predict as far as where the Eagles are going to go based on the previous 4 games. I just don't know. They don't have like a design pattern, except the fact that they're not going to throw to Dallas Goedert, which means tomorrow they're going to throw to Dallas Goedert. But that's a tough game for me to judge anything on there as far as for the Eagles offense.
Pacheco over 56.5 rushing yards. I do like this one.
I like that one too.
I like this one as well. I almost wrote this one up. Breece Hall over 60.5 rushing yards. The coaching staff came out and basically said that like the training wheels are off, right? And now they get a matchup against Denver, which is just
atrocious.
Yeah, like we thought like, maybe like the Rams were going to have one of the worst defenses, like the, potentially maybe a team like the Texans or something. No, it has been the Denver Broncos who just getting roasted by everyone. So I like the rushing on this one. I looked at his attempts. They were at 12.5. I like his attempts as well. I almost wrote this one up. So Breece Hall is a strong one that I really do like. Diggs over 84.5 receiving.
Yeah, so I like him to score a touchdown a lot too. I'm not positive.
I feel like every time I bet on Diggs, I get it wrong. Like I don't think I have ever gotten a Diggs bet right. Like there's like some weeks I've been like, okay, he's gonna smash, and then Gabe Davis catches 3 balls for 130 yards, which takes them off the field a little bit, scores on one of them, and they still end up smashing. But Diggs ends up going 7 for 77, which fantasy teams you're fine with. But he's just someone that I never get right. Flowers over 44.5. We kind of already talked about this game and kind of just like staying away from it. The Steelers secondary has been putrid, so like I'm definitely not against it. Just what I'm probably just going to stay away from this game in general, like you were saying. Speaking of staying away, can't do it. I don't care that his line is only. I don't care that it's only 28 yards.
It's a trap. Like how can you trust this fucking guy? It's not even about trusting Kyle Pitts, because Kyle Pitts can get open on like 18% of his fucking routes run. He's not getting the ball thrown to him, and if they are, they're going over his head.
Yeah, can't like that. Like I saw that line, and I literally wanted to cry. Like that is just such a sad line to see for Kyle Pitts.
It's totally like the Star Wars thing with the fucking octopus guy, where he's like, it's a trap. You know what I mean? Like it's a fucking trap. That's what it is. It's a trap. And it sucks that it's 27.5.
And you can't take it. I mean, Lito can, because he's Canadian. He probably has a different conversion system he's working with and makes it think like it's a good bet. But yeah, I would stay away from that one. It's just
the Canadian version is like 27.5 American yards is like 6 Canadian yards or something. I don't know.
Tank Dell 40.5.
I took him last week, and Jesus fucking Christ, CJ Stroud was under so much pressure last week, so that's probably has a lot to do with it.
And the fact that Nico Collins went off.
He did. And well, so the difference between the routes, if you look at a little bit more advanced, is Tank's running a lot more down the field, and Nico's running more intermediate slants and stuff like that. So I get why Nico went off just because Tank didn't have any, like CJ didn't have any time for Tank's routes to develop. So this week I do like it better. I'm scorned from last year, and fuck you. Under.
I mean, I don't see how you can watch Derek Carr last week and take anything over.
Dude, and Olave has got like a decent size over under, and I'm just like looking at it, and I'm like, how did he get like? Did they put him in the hyperbaric chamber for an entire week and not let him out?
Yeah, I can't. Would not be able to take anything there. Devonta Smith, 61.5. You said you were kind of staying away from this, but how do you feel about Smitty?
So like Smitty, I like AJ. I just don't know who's going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's funny. I like more Devonta Smith on his longest reception than I do on his overall total, just because I don't know where the volume is going to go. Like Devonta could wind up with 160 yards. We just don't know. So I would go longest reception before I'd go the overall yardage, but I don't mind it.
This would be another one I would stay away from. You know, we may never get this type of line for Cooper Kupp again, but I don't know, man. I would not want to play this in his first game back. If you're going to take any Ram, I think taking Puka would probably be the best way to go. I just don't know what to expect in terms of how many snaps he's going to play, how many routes he's going to run, what kind of routes they're going to have him do. You know what I mean? So like this would be another Puka week for me over Kupp.
So one other thing the Eagles have done is they've shifted James Bradbury to the slot, so he's a better corner in there, learning that role, and he's been good through the first couple weeks that he's been doing that. And they have Josh Jobe on the outside along with Darius Slay, and Slay has been giving up big play. Slay has been giving up some big plays himself. So I do like Puka a little bit more than I like Kupp this week, and I think his over was 62.5.
You already talked about Ayuk, so you're obviously on board with that one.
So I had him at 57.5, but I did my write-ups last night. So if he moved up to 62.5, that means a lot of money has been coming in on him, and that's 5 yards in 24 hours, which is a big jump. I still like it. It's just be aware that the public is putting a lot of money on there too. So I like that.
Only CeeDee Lamb has a higher total in that game at 65.5.
Right. Why you got to be betting on this ugly ass game, Walito?
Andrew going to 3.5 receptions.
Sure, but
Kamara over 4.5 receptions.
I mean, that one's a little bit better. Sure, because you can't throw past 10 yards.
Yeah.
If you're not going yards with Kamara reception, like 14 for 33 or 13 for 33, like bruh.
Like that's the kind of game you look at and you just say like, okay, PPR scoring is fucking dumb. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like I would be thankfully I didn't go up against Kamara in any of my leagues. I would have been so pissed having Kamara put up the points he did. 13 catches for 33 yards. Like that's something I can get behind whenever people are like talking, like anti PPR. Because you look at that and you're like, that's fucking stupid.
Do you do any point per carry leagues, like 0.25 per carry?
I think I'm in some.
They're fun. I also love that you have no idea. Because you probably are.
Well, the Scott Fishbowl is point per carry.
It is, yes.
I'm in that, so that's definitely one. I can't.
How you doing in that one?
Not great. Not great. I'm just running the buzzsaws every week, and like I think last week I put up 245 points and lost.
Oh no! That's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, yeah, it was rough. Justin Jefferson, 7.5 receptions and 102.5 receiving yards.
How you not gonna like Justin Jefferson against
Yeah.
fucking Kansas City when they got to throw? The lines are large for a reason. So yeah.
Swift over 14.5 rush attempts.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I watch this team more than anybody here, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
I would take the yards before I took the attempts. Like we know
yeah,
Swift can
I
get
don't.
there on, you know, what I mean, on 10 to 12 rush
Yeah,
attempts.
because there's games where he averages like 8 yards a fucking carry.
Yeah.
But they could go away from it just based on success. So that's the one thing with the Eagles and their coordinators is if something is working, they will stick with it, which is cool because it makes a lot of sense. Like if the running game is working, they're gonna run the ball the entire fucking drive. And if the running game is not working, the passing game is working, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna throw the goddamn ball. Whereas, going back to Andy Reid, it didn't matter if the running game was working and the passing game wasn't. Dude was running the ball like 8 times a game. So I can see it working well, but at the same time, I would trust the yards before the carries.
Already talked about this one. I'm down with that one as well. Walito Camaro, longest rush over 12.5 yards.
What was that? Longest rush,
Camaro,
12 and a
longest
half.
rush.
The
I
Saints,
feel like
man.
he's either gonna smash that or it's gonna be like 7. Yeah, I mean he's either gonna
Yeah,
rip off
so
like a
I got a
30
question
yarder.
for you since we're talking, Saints a lot. New England defense or the Eagles defense tomorrow? Since we're talking a lot about both teams.
I'd probably just stick with Philly there. The Pats are gonna be without Christian Gonzalez and Matthew Judon, which is gonna be two big pieces
Yeah.
missing there. I still think Philly can get there in terms of sacks, maybe a pick, like a sack fumble type of thing. So I think obviously the scoring is going to be lower in that New England game. So I guess it also depends on how heavily that is weighed into your defensive scoring. But I think I think there's a better chance because if Carr can't push the ball, I mean, you're not going to get a ton there with him either. Probably going to try to get the ball out of his hands quick. So I would go
Right.
Philly. Man, Walito just loves putting his money on bad players. Josh Dobbs, longest rush over 10.5 yards.
Well, you just love me hearing saying I have no fucking idea. Because I really don't. Like, you expect me to know, like, how many times Josh Dobbs has had a rush over 10.5 yards this year? I have no idea. Maybe. That's the answer.
I think he does. Actually, I'm 99% sure that he does. I couldn't tell you how many.
No,
Couldn't tell
it's
you.
not I think he does. Because the line's the line for a reason. I have no idea what evidence there is to support this bet. So I can't give you a good yes, that's a good idea because etc. Fuck a goat.
Pena, who's the most friendly on Jags offense for player props? Ridley, Zay Jones, Kirk Ingram, ETN. So many options to choose from. Yeah, ton of options. Man, Ridley's usage has been so frustrating. Like after that first week, it was like hell yeah. I was too low on Ridley, even though I was pretty high on him in general. But looks like I was too low. I mean, Zay Jones, it sounds like he should be back, but it doesn't sound like super convincing. I think Doug Peterson was like, we're optimistic that he'll be out there. Who knows? I mean, obviously he had at least a relatively serious type of injury, considering how many games they held him out. Then Christian Kirk, his usage is also going to depend on whether or not Zay Jones plays. I think if I were bet on anyone, it would be Christian Kirk, just because he seems to be like the most reliable option there. And I do think even if Zay Jones plays, we're going to be seeing the issue with Kirk earlier in the year with Zay Jones was whenever the Jaguars were leading and they weren't playing a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, Christian Kirk wasn't seeing the field. But going up against Buffalo, I do think that they'll be pushing this game. So they are going to have to run 3 wide receiver sets, which means Christian Kirk should still be involved. I think when I looked earlier, hit on DraftKings, it was at like his receiving total, I think, was at like 57.5. That was at plus money. I don't know what his receptions are. I'd assume it would be like 4.5, 5.5, something in that neighborhood. So I would probably lean Kirk. ETN, I just don't know what to expect in terms of, it's not necessarily being too worried about the Bills defense, but how quickly can the Bills jump out to a lead? And we've also never seen a situation where we have a team staying in London for back-to-back games, which is what the Jags are doing. So
Right.
it's hard to like look at that, and with the travel that Buffalo is now going to have to do, but Jacksonville staying there, like this could be like a sneaky upset spot. In that case, I think ETN's rushing total is at like 67.5, 68.5, something like that, which is fine. But I'd probably lean Kirk in this one. I did not see what Ingram's total was, but it could also be, with Ingram, Matt Milano is one of the better cover linebackers in the league, so Ingram could have some trouble against Milano.
So I'm going to go Kirk too. If you look at Trevor Lawrence's like spray chart last week, as far as where he's throwing the ball, I think he only had like 2 or 3 attempts over 20 yards. So Kirk is just a little bit safer there. I like Ridley for the yards and the big play. But I think he's grown that rapport with Christian Kirk. He's grown that trust with him, and when he gets into trouble, that's his guy. So I would definitely say Christian Kirk there, and not have any doubts about that. And I love Calvin Ridley. I'm a Ridley guy, but I think Kirk is the safest guy when it comes to props for the Jags.
So from our research center coming in, Dobbs has hit that line in 3 out of 4 games, 12, 44, and 23.
Okay. Well, that's not bad then. Mathematically speaking. Hashtag math.
I'll just ask you this one. I know we try not to throw up too many of the start sit questions here since this is a prop show, but I know you like both of these guys. Who would you go with between Pittman or Waddle?
Oh, I was looking earlier. Pittman's over under for receptions is 5.5. Against Tennessee,
I think his yards is 61.5.
Yeah, against a Tennessee team that is very good against a run. So
and awful.
I'm leaning Pittman, even though it makes me kind of make a face. Ugh.
Yeah, that was I said the same thing. Lean Pittman, but I feel like that Waddle 8 for $150. Like that game is coming soon. Like he's not.
Oh, it'll come. It's just predicting when.
Right. That is going to do it. We appreciate all of you for rocking with us. Like I said, you can jump into our Discord absolutely free. We'll definitely be tossing in some other bets tonight and then tomorrow before the games kick off. Thank you for joining. Let's get some money. Let's get some dubs, rack them up this week, and we will talk to you all soon. Goodbye.